How is everyone this morning? Okay, now we're live on both. We're going to see if this works with both today. I feel like I need to scoot myself closer to the other self. How funny is that? Okay, so a couple like random things this morning. First of all, I realized I'm rushing through my grateful days, and that's not really what I wanted to do. So I wanted to talk to you about being grateful, but I have a couple funny stories to tell you really quickly. Well, one of them's not really funny. It's a little terrifying, but then the other one's just funny. But I realized I just kind of wanted to chat with you every day, and being grateful and telling you why I'm grateful about whatever I'm grateful for that day just gives me a good reason to chat with you. So the first thing is, this morning, there's some randomness going on. But there's nothing more terrifying than looking in your white sheets. We just got white sheets. First of all, I've never had white sheets ever. And we got new bedding, so we got white sheets. Because it matched the bedding, that's what you do. And so I looked down to change the covers because my husband's legs are peeling from a month ago that we were at the beach. He looks terrible. But anyway, so I went to change the sheets and I see this little black speck and I thought, oh, that's a piece of fuzz. The piece of fuzz moved. That's not a piece of fuzz. It was a spider. And it was a little tiny, but still, you're thinking, was that in my bed while I was sleeping? Was that just here? Was it on the ceiling while I was sleeping? It could have jumped in my hair. Like, not okay. Not okay at all. So I squished it with the covers and then I had the sheets. Then I had to wash the sheets to get my husband's skin off the sheets. Because I told him last night, I said, I'll dry brush your legs and then you can go to bed. I don't want the skin all in the sheets. And so this morning I was like, oh man, I fell asleep before you. And it's in the he goes, I scrubbed it off in the sheets. And I was like, that's awesome. That's great. I'm going to wash the sheets this morning. So good thing I did, because I never would have seen the spider. It would have gone way down in the depths of the covers and there it would have been. All right. And so then second thing, yesterday, I'm with my parents. We went over to my parents' house to help them finish up some like major yet minor things in their rental house that they're trying to renovate. And so my dad is 24 years older than me. And so we go they got the, what do you call that, stove out or the oven, whatever. It's a stove oven combo thing. So they got it out of the box finally. My husband was going to help them put it in. And it's dented on the side. And so nobody wanted to go with my dad. And I was like, well, I'm just standing around Dad. My girls were doing stuff with my mom and John was doing stuff that he needed to do. And I was like, I'll go with you, Dad. So we go up there or whatever and we go to return it, and it's over a month old. And so Lowe's was like, well, we can't really return it over a month old. And, you know, he is super people pleaser, very kind, it's okay, whatever. And I'm like, no. It is dented. We just opened it. It still has the plastic on it. It's clear we didn't use it. So they said, go look for another one while we figure out what we're going to do with you. And as we were walking back, I said, Dad, I am not afraid to raise a little you-know-what. And he goes, I know. That's why I brought you. And I was like, oh, okay. So we get our stove oven thing, and they had another one just like it. And so we go back up to the counter, and he said, I'm going to go get the truck. And I said, okay, well, I'll just pay for it and switch it, whatever they need to do. So he gave me his cards, and we go to switch it, and the lady behind the counter goes, your husband, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that's not my husband. That's my dad. She goes, that's not your dad. I said, yes, it is my dad. We don't look like we should be married. And then I thought, oh, gosh, maybe she needs me to say that it's my husband for the card purposes, because it's not my card. We don't even have the same last name. And so I was like, well, I mean, I can say he's my dad, but I said, really, he would have to be my sugar daddy. And she died laughing. She thought, that's really funny. She genuinely thought that was my husband. Nothing against my dad, but my dad goes, she couldn't have thought we were married. So after we got done and we paid or whatever, and then she goes, or I told my dad, I said, either you look really young or I look really old. I'm not exactly sure what the situation is here right now, but one of us looks the other. She goes, girl, you're so pretty and your dad looks so young. And I was like, come on now. I mean, thank you, but you are backpedaling seriously. Anyway, that was my funny story from yesterday. We cracked up about that, thinking that was my husband. I was like, no, it's not my husband. I keep calling him Dad. Maybe people call their husband Dad. I don't know. I don't. I call my husband John or Johnny or babe or whatever, but not Dad. So Anyway, so today I've decided that there was all kinds of things that that I could be grateful for. Yesterday was a long, busy day, but it was great. We helped my parents, and it was wonderful, and I love getting to see them, and we just had a good Sunday. It was a busy Sunday, but we had a good Sunday. And so we come home, and my kids are wound up for whatever reason. So they're talking in front of me, 90 to nothing. And then, y'all know my story the other day, we have a girl dog in heat, and I swear the boy dog is in heat too, because good Lord. It's like one long dog. I keep saying that, but it's like one long dog. And he turns into the Hulk. He is like super strong. Well, nobody has any patience with these dogs but me. I mean, my girls are trying, but they get frustrated and yell at him. And he's like, whatever, you're yelling at me again. Who cares? And then my husband's like, peace out. I got to go in my office. I can't handle this. And so this morning, as I'm walking around and they are chasing each other in the wet mud, my girls last night are wearing my ears out. Let me preface this by saying, I love that they sit in my office with me. I specifically bought chairs for them to sit in my office with me that are comfy for them to hang out in here. But you know, sometimes like you've done a lot of being social, you've done a lot of peopling all day, and then I had work to do last night, and I purposely put it off so that we could enjoy our day. And then you come home and I'm trying to concentrate, and I always listen to something in my ear over here. So like usually, because I have ADD a little bit, I always have like some kind of random show that I'm listening to. I don't really watch it. I just listen to it so that I can tune out whatever's going on around here. Well, I have them just all in front of me. The dogs are like, I won't even tell you what they're doing, but they're being naughty. And I was like, oh my God, thank you for patience. So this morning I was like, I am really grateful for patience. I am the most patient person in my house. I'm grateful for grace because I would say a lot of bad words if I wasn't patient. And I was like, I can't handle all this noise. I do like to be around people a lot. But you know, the older you get, you're kind of like, oh, okay, that's enough of that. Well, last night, it was 10 o'clock. It was late. We ate late. We got home late. It was just a lot. And then the dogs had been in their cage for 6 hours. So you know, if you have dogs, you know what that's like. And so I was like, thank you, Lord, for a little bit of patience. Got everybody in bed. Today's a good day. My husband's gone. The dogs are now finally being good because they've run around like a bunch of maniacs. And everybody's nice and quiet. But then I was thinking too, so my grace and my patience is kind of double-edged sword. Not in a bad way, but so tomorrow's the first day of school, and Mackenzie, my oldest, is my anxious child, and then Kendall is the emotional child, and I am neither of the two. Oh, that's funny. I try not to swear in front of them, but the older they get, I have started a little, not at them, just like in general, you know, like where I used to say, what the crap, I may say, what the hell, or whatever. And they know, usually it's never to them. It's sometimes just in general, you know, like whatever. So, but I started thinking, because she's very anxious about school starting tomorrow, my oldest child. My youngest is ecstatic. She knows her teacher. She knows her friends. It's 5th grade. It's the same school, whatever. She's good. But she is a little bit more emotional. Like even now when we tell her no, the look on her face changes. You can tell that she's got her feelings hurt. I'm like, you don't get to get your feelings hurt because I tell you no. You can't do that. Like, that's not life. I'm going to tell you no in life. And so I told this story on my story. So if you're hearing this again, sorry. But when she was younger, she cried a lot. I'll get back to Mackenzie in a second. Kendall cried a lot. She's just emotional, very sensitive, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just not. And so learning how to parent a sensitive child is hard because you want to be like, suck it up, quit, stop crying. I don't even know why you're crying. And so finally I was like, okay, Clint or Emily, whoever's on here, she's going to have to come see one of you for therapy because I told this child to stop crying so much that I was like, she's going to be in therapy because she's going to go sit down in front of the therapist and be like, my mom told me I could never cry and now I hold in all my emotions. So finally I was like, you know what? You need to tell her when it's okay to cry. Let it be acceptable to feel those feelings because I can't tell her not to be sad and I can't tell her not to have her feelings hurt, but I need her to understand that when she gets in trouble at home, that's not time to cry. You cannot like it that I told you no, but it's not time to cry. And so I was like, you can cry when you're sad, and you can cry when you're hurt, or if someone has hurt your feelings. But mommy and daddy telling you no, or telling you to go clean your room, or your friend looking at you sideways, that's not a reason to cry. And so, anyway, it's funny, that was years ago, and she's really good about not crying as much anymore. And so we were driving somewhere the other day, and she's sitting in the front seat with me, and she said, Mommy, so-and-so was being so sad and crying about blah, blah, blah. If you're not hurt and you're not sad, then there is no reason to cry. You are not bleeding. And I was like, oh God, she did listen to me. Maybe in a good way, maybe in a bad way, but she doesn't cry about everything. She still doesn't like it when we tell her no. She thinks she's in trouble all the time, and she's not. She's a very good kid. But anyway, that one stuck. So then on the flip side, I have this very anxious child who does not like anything that is unknown. It's foreign. I don't know what I'm getting myself into. And that's human nature. I understand. Nobody wants to just go into a situation blind. But I'm not very sympathetic to that because I don't see anything wrong with it. Now, granted, I'm an adult. When I was a kid, I'm quite certain I was like that. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's tough. And so, so my oldest is very anxious, and she starts doing this with her hands, and then she does her feet. So she knows when she's being anxious, and I know when she's being anxious. And so the other day she was making her sandwich, and she was all, kind of huffy or whatever. And I was like, what is your problem? Well, I had just told her that she has to start a new volleyball class on Sunday nights, that she knows no one. And so she's freaking out about that. We don't have it till next Sunday night. This was last night that she's freaking out about it. And then she's starting school tomorrow. And so they put her in drama. She did not want drama because none of her friends are going to drama. And so the way her school works is she is in a school that's smaller, and she had to get accepted to this school. But then there's a bigger school that is coming into her school. So it's basically like two schools in one. And so she'll still be in her school, but they will intermingle with the other school. And so she's a little bit nervous about that. And her very first class is with these kids. And I'm sure these kids are very sweet. She may even find someone that she knows, but it's that fear of the unknown. And so last night she's going to bed, and she's like, I'm so nervous about volleyball, and I'm so nervous about school. And I was like, we're not going to worry about that tonight. It's Sunday night. You don't start school till Tuesday. You don't have volleyball till next Sunday. Nothing to worry about. And I was like, that probably was a little bit insensitive of me, but why worry about it 2 days before? But she will. She'll worry about it a week earlier and a month earlier. I mean, it's craziness. So I've decided that patience and grace are two things that I need, that I'm grateful for, because I'm having to learn to parent children that, I said in my stories earlier that you get married and you have children, and you have these two different personalities, and you expect that if you have the same sex child, they're going to be exactly the same. Wrong. But you also kind of think that they're going to get they obviously get some of you and some of your husband, but you think they're going to get all of the great things about you, and they don't. So I have, my oldest is very headstrong, very driven, very stubborn, very goal-oriented, and very anxious and very cautious. And then you have my youngest, who is very sensitive and very creative and very artsy and very laid back and very just whatever, go with the flow, And so it's the go with the flow is me. The artsy is my husband and me. But then the sensitive is my husband. Straight up. I am not. And then I'm empathetic and sympathetic, but I'm not sensitive. I don't get my feelings hurt very easily, very often. And then my oldest is very stubborn, and I am very stubborn and very driven, and things have to be just this way. But then her analytical side is my husband. And so it's how did you mesh those two together? That's tough. And obviously they do fine. They're great. Yeah, for sure, Deb. And I don't worry at all about them, because that's not my nature either. I am the most optimistic person in my house. Thank you. I am not a worrier, but it's stretching me. It's making me be a better Steph, a better mom, a better well-rounded, sympathetic person, to traits that I don't possess. So I've decided that God gave me these kids for a reason, and the way that they are made for a reason, because it's making me become a more well-rounded person. Anyway, so all of that to say, my day 6 is I'm grateful for patience and grace. Patience with the two very wild dogs. Luckily, they're calm and they're under my desk. That's why I'm pointing down. They live under my desk while I'm working. And yes, thank you. She luckily, so someone on my Facebook page is saying that I need to. It's a good opportunity to pray and kind of help her through it and ask God to help her. And she has learned to pray, which is really, really great. And so she does pray herself through a lot of stuff. And I do for her, just for her to understand that life is not about knowing everything that's going to happen. That's just part of life. So you're not always going to have a situation where you walk in and you know every person, you know what's going to happen, you know what to expect. It's just not life. And so yes, it's a hard lesson to learn that young, but I want her to learn it now because, once she gets in high school and she gets in college and she gets a job and she has all these things that happen, she's not going to know exactly what's going to happen in life and how that's going to play out. You sometimes just have to trust that it's going to be okay. And so I think she's also learning through me too, which is wonderful. So anyway, that is what we are grateful. I am grateful for today is patience and grace. So I will be back tomorrow. Hopefully there's no spider in my bed and people don't think my dad is my husband, and we have a good but busy Monday. So school starts tomorrow and Wednesday for us. So we're ready for a schedule, ready to get going, ready to just kind of, jump in there and head first. Anyway, thanks for everybody who hung out with me on Instagram Live. This is the first time it actually worked all the way through, which is really fun, and interacting. And then thanks to everybody who hung out with me on Facebook. This is a hard time for Facebook because there's a lot of people who are not here right now. My crew on Facebook is more of a nighttime, but it's quiet in my house right now. So sometimes you have to do what you have to do. All right, well, y'all have an awesome day, and I'll see you tomorrow.